Hi class, this is Ms. Gonzalez, and the TEK that we are going to be covering for today is 5.8a, and it talks about infer multiple themes within a text using text evidence. Okay, I'm going to talk about theme. What is theme? The message, lesson, or moral the author wants you to learn. Some examples of themes include love, courage, honesty, kindness, good versus evil, and those are just a few. Okay, so while you're doing the passages for this week, or while you're doing the do nows that I'm going to be posting on Teams every day, I want you to ask yourself these two questions. What idea stays with me? How did the character grow or change? So keep those two questions in mind when you're doing the passages, when you're answering questions, and when you're doing the do nows that I'm going to be posting on Teams. Okay, and just a reminder, there is a different do now every day that I will be posting, so make sure you go in there and check. All right, so another trick that I also like to use when I'm doing theme is that theme is the message. What is this passage telling me? What is the story trying to tell me? What is it trying to teach me? What is the lesson? And that's another word that you're going to be seeing in some of the questions that you answer. It might some of the questions might say, well, what is the lesson of the story, or what lesson did the character learn? So lesson is also the message. What is it trying to tell you? Okay, all right, so for this week we are going to continue working with our Star Ready instruction book. Make sure you're using this book and not any of the other packets that I gave you. Okay, if you have any questions about what passage, what page number you have to work on, look at the calendar that I'm going to be posting on Teams and on Dojo. And if you're still having some trouble finding the passage, what page number, or you're not really quite sure where we are, make sure you message me and I'll try to help you as soon as possible. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn to page 36. We are going to be working on this passage. This is the first passage we're going to be looking at, life during the Depression. Okay, so I went ahead and did my unwrap, and I kind of got a little head start. I did my underline the title, and I read through the passage quickly, and I saw a character's names. I also see that the title talks about the Depression, the Great Depression, which is something that really did happen in the 1930s. So I know that if it has characters, if it's telling me a story, but it's also based on real life events, then it would make it a realistic fiction. Okay, so this passage is realistic fiction. Okay, all right, I numbered off my paragraphs. I put paragraph 1 by itself, paragraph 2 and 3 together, and then paragraph 4. Next, I am going to walk through my questions, and I went ahead and did that already, but I'm going to go over them with you. Number 1, what is an important lesson? Told you, here we're going to see a lesson that David learned in this story. So you're going to read your answer choices. Make sure you're looking at the hint because it's giving you clues of where you can find the answer. Okay, so it says here, look in paragraph 3, and I went ahead and made a little note next to paragraph 3 that I have question 1 here. So you read your answer choices and make sure you put your supporting details. Number 2, one important idea presented throughout the story. Okay, you're also going to see that word, idea. Read your answer choices, provide your supporting details, make sure you read your hint. Which choice contains the big idea in the story? Okay. And the last one, the fact that the story takes place during the Great Depression helps the reader understand. So again, read your hint, read your answer choices, provide your supporting details. All right, So we walked through our questions. Now we're going to read the text. I'm only going to be reading the first paragraph with you, and then you are going to be reading the rest by yourself. Remember, you're doing your who and your what, your summaries on the side. We're not writing a big paragraph. We're just writing a few words about what the paragraphs are mostly about. Okay? And I'm also keeping in mind my think about it. Make sure you read them. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Life during the Depression. David's family had been farming as long as he could remember. He and his brothers and sisters began helping on the farm at an early age. They would help their mother gather eggs from the chickens to help their father pick vegetables. Although the neighbors were farmers too, they sold their vegetables and eggs at the daily markets in town. Most years they made plenty of money, but this year was different. It was the year 1930, and David was 10 years old. That year and several after were very hard on his family. Later, people would call this time the Great Depression. All right, so who is the paragraph talking about? David. So I'm going to write that here. David is my who. And look at your think about it. How do the members of David's family help each other? Why do they do this? Well, as I'm reading, I see that they had a farm and all the children would help gather eggs and help their father pick vegetables. All the neighbors were also farmers. They sold vegetables and eggs in the market. So while I read, a good summary for this paragraph was that they had a farm and everyone helped out. So I'm going to put that as my what. Had a farm. Everyone helped out. Okay? So you're going to continue doing that on your own for for paragraph 2 and 3. You're going to read both of them. Remember, you're doing your who and your what. You're looking at your think about it. What else do you know about the Depression? You're going to write your who and your what. Move on to paragraph 4. Okay? And then the next day, you're going to answer the questions. Remember, you're pacing this out. One day you're reading and you do your unwrap, you do your summaries. The next day, you do the questions. All right, so once you're done with this passage, so this would be Monday and Tuesday, and then you turn the page. Wednesday, it's going to be 2 passages that you have to read. You're reading How Flies Saved the River. You're going to do your unwrap, your summaries. John Dara, the Revolutionary Spy, you're going to do the same. Do your unwrap, do your summaries. That's going to be Wednesday. And then on Thursday, you're going to answer your questions. But remember, on Wednesday, when you're doing your unwrap, you're going to walk through the questions. That way, when you're reading, you kind of have an idea what is going to be asked in the questions. And you can start making your notes. You can start putting in what paragraphs you might find some of the answers. Okay? All right. So remember, this is what we're doing for the week. On Fridays, I expect you to be reading. On Fridays, you're going to be journaling. You are reading every single day. 15 to 20 minutes. It could be a book that you have at home. It could be through Dojo. I'm sorry, not Dojo. It could be through Mayan. So you can be reading the same book on Mayan, or you can be reading different books. Friday is your day to journal, and you are using your 5WH strategy. I know some of you were asking me to remind them how to use that strategy. So I'm going to just write it down. 5WH. So if you're reading one book, you are going to tell me, it doesn't have, if you don't finish reading the book, if it's a chapter book that you're reading, just write up until where you stopped. But you are going to write about who, what, when, where, why, and how. So that is your 5WH. Whenever you see me post, remember to do your 5WH. This is what I mean. Your who, your what, when, where, why, and how. So let's say that, for example, you're reading Because of Winn-Dixie, and you've only read up to chapter 4. So you're just going to write up until chapter 4, but you're going to tell me who. Well, and you can actually write this down, and it'll kind of help you organize your writing before you even begin. Well, who are you going to be talking about? Opal. What's happened so far? She found Winn-Dixie, I'm just going to put Dixie, at the store. When did this happen? When she walked to the grocery store. Okay, where? So remember in the book, where does it tell you that she lives? She lives somewhere in Florida. So you're gonna write your details. And then why? Tell me why. Why did she decide to keep them? Or, you know, why did she lie to the grocery store manager that Winn-Dixie was her dog? What was she trying to do? How? You're gonna explain that to me. Okay? So this is what I mean about the 5WH strategy. Make sure you're using it when you're doing your journal, and make sure you're sending me a picture of your journal. I know some of you have already sent me your writing for the week, and some of you, I'm still waiting on it. If you're reading on Dojo, I still expect you to do this. Okay? All right, guys. Well, that is the lesson for today. Remember, you're going to be working on Life During the Depression. If you have technology at home and you are working on Imagine Language, make sure you're completing your lessons. You have 4 lessons to complete every week. You have the entire week to complete them, but don't wait till the very end to finish everything. And remember, you're reading on Mayan 15 to 20 minutes daily. Okay? All right, guys, that is it for today. If you have any questions, make sure you message me on Dojo or on Teams, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right, bye.